In this Assassin's Creed Shadows video, I'm going to be going over some essential tips and tricks for beginners that is going to massively help you guys out when you guys are first starting your playthrough. I'm going to be going over some different settings that are going to affect your gameplay. I'm going to be giving you guys some locations on where to get some of the best legendary gear right in the beginning of the game as soon as you're able to get out into the open world. So if you guys are playing AC Shadows, let me know down in the comments, Yasuke or Naue, who's your favorite. Subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into it. Now, as you load in, you're going to want to hit the start button and you're going to want to go to the system up in the top left corner. Going to take you to this screen here. Head down to options. Now, if you're on those next gen consoles, I highly suggest putting it on performance mode because that's pretty much going to lock you in at 60 frames per second with just a few frames dropping here and there when things get really crazy. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the video settings, they have the motion blur thing. I like turning motion blur off, but that is just my preference. Next, you're going to want to go over to the gameplay tab. This is where you can actually go to the difficulty tuning. And if you click on it, you have the combat, stealth, and the guaranteed assassination. Now you can change the combat or stealth difficulty at any time during the game. So if it's too hard or not hard enough, you can change it whenever you want. And when it comes to the guaranteed assassinations, I would suggest keeping it off. It does make the game a little bit harder because those high tier enemies aren't going to die all the time to an assassination attempt. But if you turn it off, it kind of negates some of the legendary and epic armor that you find. Some of those armor pieces are going to have intrinsic perks that increases your chances of getting a one-hit kill on the assassination. So if you have this turned on, it kind of cheapens those armor pieces in my opinion. But once again, these settings are here, so play the way you want to. It really is up to you. And then also in the gameplay tab, you have the guided exploration mode. Now, if you have this turned off, whenever you're playing some of the main quests, the game is just going to give you hints as to where you're supposed to go. For example, it might tell you what town it's supposed to be in, but it's not going to give you a map marker. It's going to tell you like, hey, it's in this town and the guy hangs out in the southwest of that town near the docks. And if you can't end up finding where you're supposed to go, the game will actually tell you that you can send some of your scouts to go scout an area and find the objective for you. The only downside to that is that you're going to waste one of your scouts on trying to find an objective when scouts are very valuable in this game and you should save them for smuggling resources. Gathering resources is key in this game to upgrading your hideout, which is very beneficial. But if you're wasting all your scouts on trying to find these objectives, the only way to get your scouts back is to just wait until the season changes and then your scouts will refill. So you do have the option to turn guided exploration mode on, and then the quest objectives will just show up on the map as a blue marker and you won't have to waste a scout. But in my opinion, it's way more immersive to keep it off. But if you're getting frustrated by that mechanic, just remember you can turn it on and off at any time. So if you ran out of scouts or you don't want to have to waste a scout, you can just quickly open up the menu, turn it on, find the objective, and then go right back to how it was. Now, very early on in game, after you get through the prologue, you're going to have the hideout unlocked for you. Now, the hideout isn't just some customizable base building decorating thing that is just for show. This actually directly impacts your gameplay. Like for example, when you unlock these themed rooms, all the experience gain is increased by 10%. They have one that reduces the cost of replenishing your scouts by 30%. You can build a tea room that increases the efficiency of the rations. In case you didn't know, rations are basically like a health potion. They heal you, so that is very, very good to have. You're going to want to start upgrading and adding buildings to your hideout as soon as possible. Now, the buildings you're going to want to upgrade first are going to be your stables, and then I would say your study, because these two kind of benefit from each other. So at your stables, it states that stockpiles can be tagged at the cost of 2 scouts, and it will provide resources at the end of every season. Now, resources are very important. Up here in the top right corner, you see you've got like hay, wood, stone. These are materials that you're going to need to actually build these structures in your hideout. And after you build them, you'll also need those materials to upgrade them to the next tier. So as you upgrade your stables, At tier 2, you can tag a stockpile and it'll only cost you 1 scout. And then at tier 3, those scouts that are smuggling the goods for you are now going to be smuggling 20% more resources from those stockpiles. Now, resources are scattered all throughout the world. They're mainly found in big castles, and there's like bandit camps, stuff like that, where they will literally have like pallets of stone and hay and stuff like that. All you got to do is go up to it and tag it. Then at the end of the season, your scouts are going to go back in and collect those for you. So now that we went over these stables, next let's go over the study. Now, the study is actually how you're going to recruit scouts, because you just start off with 1 and you're going to want to get as many as you can as fast as you can so you can send out multiple scouts at a time. When I first began playing, I didn't know that's how the study worked, that I needed to upgrade that as soon as possible. I would be going through these huge castles, clearing out dozens and dozens of enemies, fighting my way all the way to the middle of the castle just to unlock the big room, and come to find out there's like 1 treasure chest in there. And then there'd be like 3 or 4 pallets of resources, but I wasn't actually able to extract any of those resources because I only had 1 scout, so I could tag one of the pallets so the scout could smuggle it out, but then I would have to leave 2 or 3 other resources there because you can't extract them yourself, only the scouts can. So you're going to want to like upgrade your stable and then upgrade the study and then upgrade the stable, like keep going back and forth between the study and the stable, because at tier 1 you get an additional scout, tier 2 you get another scout, tier 3 you get another scout. So this way you can tag multiple resources while you're out there exploring the world, and at the end of the season you'll get a ton of materials. Now, third, I want to go over the Kakariko, which just because I'm mentioning it third doesn't mean that this isn't as important as the study or the stable. I would just say go with the stable and the study first, but then you also want to do the Kakariko. Now, the Kakariko is also going to give you a scout, and it's also going to give you like a little assassin hideaway out in the open world that you can use it to fast travel. And this also unlocks seasonal contracts and supplies. At tier 2, you'll be offered seasonal provincial rumors that reveal the locations of collectibles, unique treasures, and more. And if you become wanted in a certain region, your scouts can be assigned to clear those regional alerts. And another cool thing about the Kakariko is that if you go inside of it, you can actually come up to this thing on the wall here and you can refill your scouts. It will cost you some in-game money, but if you already used up all your scouts smuggling stuff and the season hasn't ended, you can just come up over here and refill it for 200 and you'll get an additional scout. And in this same room, you can actually use this box to refill your supplies, and you actually have a storage chest here. So if you have some armor and weapons that you're not really using but you don't want to sell or dismantle, you can store them in here. And additionally, you can use the Kakariko to get a ton of more resources. I already went over how your scouts will smuggle resources for you, but if you actually come to this box right here in the Kakariko, it's called Browse Contracts. They're going to have seasonal contracts for you to do that are super easy, and they give you tons of resources. I would say they give you even more resources than your scouts smuggling them at the end of a season. They usually have a seasonal contract like this one. I already completed it, Liberate Cargo. I think I have some gameplay of it. I'll throw it up on the screen. It's a super easy contract where you literally go to like a bandit camp and you have to kill like 10 enemies or something like that and loot a chest, and you get just as much, if not more, resources from doing this one contract that takes like 5 minutes. You get more resources from this than you do having to wait a whole season for your scouts to smuggle resources for you. So you guys do not ignore the hideout, upgrade the stables, the study, and the Kakariko as soon as possible. And the next tip I want to go over with you guys is get yourself some good legendary gear right at the start of the game. Pretty much as soon as you can start exploring the open world, you can head into the castles where there will be some samurai daisho that you'll have to kill. And as soon as you clear out all the daisho in the castle, you can head up to the tallest building and there'll be a special chest in there that has specialized legendary gear. So as soon as you go out into the open world, head on over to this location right here. You've got the Kitano Castle. You're going to want to clear this out and you can get a legendary piece of armor. And once you got that, head on over here to the Amagasaki Castle. and you can essentially just do the same thing, clear out the Samurai Daisho, climb the tower, open up the chest in here, and you get another piece of legendary gear. It's going to give you the Tools Master Mask legendary gear, and it's going to give you the Tools Master legendary light armor. I already made a separate video on that if you want to go check that out. And the next tip is to actually get your hands on a good legendary weapon. Once again, as soon as you start the game, you can go straight to this legendary gear. You're going to want to go over here all the way to this island, and you're going to want to go out to this ship right here. There's probably like around 10 guards on this thing, but you don't really have to kill any of them. I got some gameplay in the background where I just swim around to the back of the ship. I climb up the back and there's an open window. You just jump through that window and the chest is literally right there. You can open it and then just jump straight back out the window and jump off into the water and then just fast travel away. And you guys are going to get your hands on this Bloodshade legendary katana. This is a really good katana. It's going to give 18% bleed buildup, and it has an intrinsic perk, affliction buildup is not lost over time. Honestly, this is going to last you all the way into the upper levels of the game as long as you keep upgrading it. And folks, that is pretty much going to do it for my essential tips and tricks for Assassin's Creed Shadows when you guys are first beginning the game. If you guys found this helpful, do me a huge favor, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you want more AC Shadows content, and I'll catch you guys around the channel.
Tell me about your nightmare.
Blood for blood.